My name is Jeremy. I'm from UC Merced in California, and I'm studying environmental engineering. But my question is, how did your moral compass help you decide what company you wanted to work for? Because hydraulic fracking is exploding in California, but I kind of don't want to work for something like that, even though they do pay like twice as much as like the California Water Boards or EPA.
Hmm.
Connor,
Okay.
I'm looking right at you, Connor. How's your moral compass these days, buddy?
I can't tell. You're looking right at me. Well, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Mike, but no. I mean, I think that's important. I mean, that's going to be a part of you enjoying your work and feeling like what you're doing is important. If personally you can't get behind, whatever it is, fracking or something else, then, yeah, you might be making a lot of money, but I don't know, maybe you won't enjoy it as much. I mean, on the other side, I know a guy who studied biochem. He was a biochem major, real smart guy. He went to work for a credit card company, made a lot of money, but had nothing to do with what he was interested in. So, I mean, I think that's definitely something to think about. On the other hand, I mean, I think, there's also a dose of, you have to also be realistic about the world and the energy infrastructure in which we live. There's a lot of jobs in oil and gas. And while, I mean, I wouldn't work in clean energy if I didn't think it was important for a whole variety of reasons, including environmental ones. But the reality of the energy infrastructure we live in is that we all need and use oil and gas, every day, unless you have, maybe a very alternative lifestyle. So those kind of things are important for jobs and for people in the world we live in, and and that's part of business and the way things are. So I don't think if that's the kind of line of work that you go into, it's necessarily something you need to beat yourself up about. You can view it as a transition kind of fuel. You can view it as maybe it's really it becomes kind of a personal thing. So that's how I would look at it.
Michael or Wes?
Sure. Yeah, I think this goes back to like a few questions back about priorities. I think some people have a really strong moral compass and others don't as much. I don't know. I think that the answers you're going to get from the three of us are going to be really, really different from anyone who's working at an oil company or some other job like that. And it really just comes down to who you are. It's a personal choice. And certain people are just going to want to work in clean tech and environmental type companies. And other people who have other priorities are going to pick jobs with higher pay or something else. They'll work at oil companies if they don't care as much about the environment, or they'll work at a bank if really all they care about is their paycheck. But one thing to think about is who you're working with has a big impact on how much, or at least for me, who I work with has a big impact on how much I like the work that I do. And I'm really happy that I'm working at a company like this because there are so many other people that think like me. And I feel like, working at a company where I would be uncomfortable with, what the company does, the people I would work with would also maybe feel that way. And I think it's a really big plus to work in a place like clean tech.
Yeah, I'll just jump in there real quick. I mean, I agree with Connor and Mike in that it's going to depend on what your personal priorities are, and those are going to vary very much based on the individual. But the fact that all of you guys are sitting in that classroom right now, that you're not only in ESW, but you're at the national conference, I'm willing to bet that all of you guys know what you want from a career and that you won't settle for anything other than making a positive impact on the world. So I guess long story short, don't go into hydraulic fracturing. But yeah, when if you find a job that you know you're going to be making a difference in, you'll know it, and you'll feel it the day you step into the office. So I would say, don't settle for anything less, and go for gold. Go for what you know inherently is going to make you happy in the long term. Because if you don't, like I have friends who took a job that sounded really cool, and they're going through like quarter life crises now, and they have all these problems. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, honestly, and I want you guys to feel the same way. So, yeah.
I'm going to throw one little footnote out to this, and to many of you, this will come across as being hypocritical, and in part it is. But hopefully you can look at me and what I'm doing and realize that I'm all in when it comes to sustainable energy. I think, or I should say, I do see people occasionally who either out of necessity, because they have to pay the bills, or simply because they're very tactical, kind of the Frank Underwood's, to quote House of Cards again, that and let's pick on hydraulic fracturing, horizontal drilling, where some of these people are going to work there for a year or two, and again, maybe because they need money, it may be because they've got a bigger plan in mind, but the point is they will tell you they have a long-term moral compass. And they believe that life is not linear, that things don't always go in a straight line. And so, sometimes maybe working for a year or two for someone that isn't high on your list, maybe they're not on your list at all, maybe they're the anti-list. Maybe, just maybe, that is a way to get experience, to get in the game, to learn the industry, whether it's energy or water or whatever. And then just don't lose sight of what your ultimate goal is. And then you pull out and you lateral into what you really want to do. In the meantime, you've developed some experience, you've made contacts, you've developed fundamental skills. It's not for everybody. Again, I am the first to admit it is at best hypocritical, but it can be a segment, if you will, if you believe things are not linear and yet you still have a long-term compass it can be a segment to get you where you want to go, as long as you don't sell out, as long as you don't realize, as Wes said, why you really are in that room. But there you go. That's for what that's worth.